Do you want to get faster on the bike? Do you want to drop your mates? Or do you want to set that PB on a local segment? Well, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. The bad news is that the most effective way to get quicker on the bike is still with some good old-fashioned graft. The good news is we've got 4 killer sessions to get you riding faster than ever in record time. Let's get into it. Historically, if you wanted to get faster at cycling, then you'd just have to spend more time in the saddle. However, as technology and our knowledge of the most effective ways to train has advanced, it's become clear that you can kind of fast track some of these gains. Take a look at some of the fastest riders in the world right now. They don't spend their whole winters mile munching on the road like the pros of old. The likes of Van der Poel and Van Aert instead doing high intensity cyclocross races, and Tom Pidcock is probably, well, riding off a cliff on his mountain bike. Well, today me and 191 grams of Italian made pedal tech are planning on channeling some of that same off-road intensity to boost my cycling performance. To help me execute my sessions and to track my progress, I'm going to be using the Aero dual-sided power pedals. Now, power meters are really the gold standard of 21st century training, and recently they've been getting quite a bit more affordable. Take these Favero Pro MX pedals, for example. They start at £330, and the added benefit of them being pedal based is that I can switch them between all my bikes. If you want to learn more about them, then we'll pop a link down in the description to the full review. But spoiler alert, they did very well and are one of the very few products to have ever scored a perfect 10 out of 10. Right then, time for my first session, and this one is called over-unders. And the idea is that after a warm-up, I'm going to be doing intervals just under my FTP and just over my FTP. For those of you who aren't familiar, your FTP, or functional threshold power, is basically the amount of watts you can theoretically hold for 1 hour at max effort. Right, there's no need to zero the power meter or do a temperature offset. It does all of that automatically. So let's get going. So this session is designed to help train my body to recover while still riding at a decent pace. For example, the over FTP effort simulate riding up a climb more than my FTP to, for example, to stay with my mates. And then the effort below FTP simulates, well, try to stay in the wheels as they push on over the top. Now, the benefit of doing this with a power meter is that I know as long as I stick to my zones and they're set correctly, then I should be able to complete all the intervals at the same power. And it will stop me either going off too hard, which I do quite a lot, or going off too easy. It's also nice knowing that all my data is being reliably recorded to the Aero power pedals, ready to analyze after the session. In fact, these pedals can measure to a very impressive accuracy of plus or minus 1%, no matter the external conditions, and they even work perfectly with oval chain rings. Now, although this session is definitely going to be not the easiest thing I've done in my life, the idea of an over-under session is that I'm not going to be so dead that I can't ride or go downstairs tomorrow morning. Being consistent is absolutely key if you want to improve on the bike, and that's something that a power meter can really help with. Now, today's session is all about high intensity surges to try and build a bit more power on the bike. Now, you might think that you don't want to be good at sprinting, and yeah, fair enough. But there's plenty of proof to show that strength training will also improve your steady state efforts. Now, I'm actually going to pop the pedals onto my mountain bike because it's fairly grim conditions on the roads, and well, it's impossible to go mountain biking without doing some of these surges. Now, luckily for me, the good news is that it won't take long either. There's no wires or plugs. The pedals simply bolt on just like any other pedal. Oh, and they're compatible with your current SPD cleats too. The high power intervals that I'm going to be doing are around 20 seconds long in a low gear, and then in between them, I'm going to ride nice and easy to ensure I'm as recovered as possible for the next one. Now, 20 seconds might not sound like very long, but trust me, this is gonna burn. I must admit, I'm sometimes a little bit skeptical about taking power meters off-road, especially at this time of year when there's plenty of water about. However, these Faveros have been holding up like a Nokia. They are, of course, water resistant, so it doesn't matter if a puddle is a bit deeper than expected, and they've taken a fair few rock strikes without impacting their accuracy too. Now, I think that a big part of their durability is the fact that all the electronics, so the strain gauges and battery and all the other clever gubbins, is housed inside the spindle. Now, that not only makes them less prone to knocks, but also means that this aluminium pedal body can be replaced as and when it wears out at just 60 euros. That means that I can keep using the power meter for years to come. Oh, and one other cool thing, look at this. The Aciomas actually tell me how long I was out the saddle for on my ride. I literally don't have any idea how it manages that. Session number 3, and luckily it looks like it's a bit of an easier one. It's always important to remember that not every ride has to be hard, even if you're training for a race. And it sounds naff, but you have to enjoy it. Otherwise, you'll never find that sustainable training rhythm. With a power meter, even on easy rides, there's training gains to be had. So on today's easy ride, I'm focusing on the finer details of my cycling technique. What does that entail, I hear you ask? Well, the most obvious is my left-right balance. Now, lots of people have an imbalance, whether that's due to a previous injury, inflexibility, or just a habit that's got out of control. Personally, I find that I'm actually slightly more imbalanced on easy rides. So this year, I'm making an effort to try and get out of this habit. Another thing to focus on is how smooth your power stroke is. And Favero has this really cool feature called pedal smoothness. Basically, I don't want to just be stamping on the pedals wildly. I want to have a smooth power delivery and be putting the power out for a large portion of the pedal stroke. That way, I'm sharing the load between different muscle groups and potentially increasing my ability to sustain power. Oh yes, now even the likes of you and I can train like the pros. The last thing I'm focusing on is my cadence. Now that's made easy with the pedal's built-in cadence sensor. I want to be careful not to do these sessions at a really low cadence, because then it's taking it out of my legs even though my heart rate is low. Now, I'm aiming for a cadence of about 90 RPM, revolutions per minute, but this will vary from person to person based on personal preference. And my final session for you is the one that I always do before a race or a big ride that I want to perform my best at. Now, the idea is that I'm going to spin my legs out and get them primed for the day after without taking too much out of them. Now, tomorrow I'm doing my first cyclocross race of the season, and I just know that it's going to go off absolutely crazy. The aim of this session is therefore to get my blood pumping, any lactic acid cleared out the way, and get my body and lungs used to doing that hard effort, so it doesn't come as a complete shock to the system. So I'm going to start off with some steady riding, and then after 15 minutes or so, I'm going to do a ramp for 10 minutes from zone 2 wattage all the way up to my FTP. After that, I've got some high cadence surges to really get my heart rate going, but without taking too much out of my legs. Of course, it's in these situations that it's more important than ever to then do a cool down to prevent me from feeling like I've just done a grand tour tomorrow. And that leaves just one thing to do. I need to charge up these power meter pedals. The pedals are designed and manufactured in Italy, which Favero says is for better battery quality control. The result is a claimed battery life of at least 60 operational hours, and inside the spindle is a rechargeable battery that I can top up using the magnetic clip from a power pack. Well, that's the bike ready for tomorrow. I'd better go and get my kit ready. Let us know which one of these sessions you might give a go first down in the comments below, and also let us know what you're training for. For more information of these Favero Pro MX pedals or the Acioma Road version, we'll pop a link down in the description. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for lots more bike stuff, and we'll see you next time.